I'm going to show and tell you my favorite medium loadouts to use as well as reserve options and why in today's video. This video was inspired by Carl, also known as Alpine, so shout out to Carl. I do want to also apologize in advance for if I sound different. I got some new caps put on my teeth and it seems to be affecting my speech a bit. So yeah, bear with me. I apologize. With that out of the way, if you like this kind of content, well, you get the gist. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Starting with weapons, medium has a lot of good weapons this season, so it was low-key kind of hard to narrow my second and third favorites down. But I have 3 total to share with y'all. My favorite goes to my beloved model. I love this weapon. And to be fair, the main reason I love it could be due to the simple fact that with the skin, it trails after each shot. And of course, Embark made another skin that also makes it trail. So I had to get that one too. Model itself really isn't that great, however, and in my opinion probably isn't medium's best weapon right now, or maybe not even top 5. Well, maybe not top 3. But I do genuinely still love to use it, and I have fun whenever I do. Model does 108 max damage, so you can 2-shot a light, 2-shot melee a medium, or 3-tab melee a heavy. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, you won't be doing max damage where you could pull off these optimal scenarios. But when you can, it feels so good. To complement my model, I like using Pike, my main reserve option. This kind of rounds out my close to medium, long, medium ranges. Pike really doesn't need much of an introduction, considering it can 3-tab a light to the body, and as a light main, this hurts me deeply. But it's fine. And it also has a relatively decent fire rate. You can sit at a safe-ish distance and just be a menace to the lobby. Even at close range, it's pretty decent despite it receiving a nerf or 2 to its hip fire. Pike does 50 to the body and 75 to the head, so you can kind of play a mid-range covering fire type of playstyle, which is how I like playing it. I see my light or whomever go in and I'm behind washing the back, just tapping away, knowing if I land a hit literally on anyone, that's going to be a decent chunk of their HP, just gone like that. The times when I'll most likely use Pike will be when it's in longer range maps like Kyoto or Bernal, or if my model shot really isn't hitting too well right now, like that day, then I might opt to use Pike. There's also a chance in the final round if my opponent is using very rangy weapons like say Pike, Farmers, LH1, Deagles, right? I might opt to put on Pike because my opponent is probably playing passive, or maybe I noticed they were playing passive in the previous rounds. I'll probably opt to use Pike then, because if I put on model, I'm probably gonna get bullied, right? I'll also note suspended structures or floating platforms, those kind of things too. I'm also probably gonna use Pike most likely. Maybe even moving platforms depending on the towel, but yeah. Now, the third weapon on the list is Farmers. I won't spend too much on the Farmers, however, but basically I use Farmers if my Pike shot isn't hitting or my model. Farmers is kind of like my one-size-fits-all kind of weapon, as it hits extremely hard, has great hip fire, can be used at ranges, it does literally everything. I prefer my Farmers with iron sights. I don't know why. I just hit more shots somehow with the iron sights. I don't know. I always like the iron sights. I don't know. I'm weird. Now let's go over my specialization. Starting with my for fun spec, turret. I love turret. Yes, turret. Isn't he adorable? But no, really. Turret is my favorite specialization just because I kind of enjoy RTS base building games where you build a base and put up turrets to defend and stuff like that. To me, everything about turret just kind of resonates and I love it. I know it's not great, but it's fun, and that's kind of what we're here to do, right? Have fun. That being said though, I will eventually try and, really make turret work at a higher level setting. But we'll see about that when we get there. Spoiler alert. That's a spoiler alert for a sudden post I made recently on YouTube. As for my go-to spec for like trying to win or like, I don't know, taking it more seriously, I guess, we have D-Man. D-Man also doesn't need much of an intro, but I enjoy using D-Man because of all the tomfoolery and cheeky things you can do with it. Between D-Manning mines on the people, or D-Manning a wall like to exit only to then close it back moments before RPG would hit you. D-Man is sick at building both offensive and defensive. You can stall OBJ with it, as well as really clutch up for your team. The possibility for this thing is literally endless, and it's great. Now on to the gadgets, and my main gadget lineup is Jumpad, Frag, and Mines, with my reserve housing Defib and glitch trap, sorry. I could probably trade out Farmos in my reserves and put like another gadget, but no. First, let's go over Jumpad. It's Jumpad. Do I need to say more? It's my favorite get out of jail free card, as well as an instant being able to take height. On top of that, and I wish I had footage to show you this, you can do some cheeky funny plays where you can place a jump pad where someone may not be thinking about it, like some weird plays like say right around a corner after opening a door or something like that, where they could end up like hitting the jump pad and flying off the map. I love placing them down by like the triangular jump pads, or at sudden points on Fortune Stadium or Monaco. It's honestly hilarious when it works. Hopefully I showed some, if I do have it, hopefully I show some clips here. If not, maybe in a future video I'll show you some like cheeky jump pad spots. Now if you guys seen my mine video, you probably would have guessed this, but explosive mines, they're my bread and butter. If you haven't noticed yet, I like the idea of trapping opponents or baiting them, so mines are just kind of like a no-brainer. Between setting up flame barrel mine, or flame barrel plus mine, or D-Mats plus mine, it's all just so good. Mines do a solid 120 damage to people, assuming they take 4 damage, of course. And they make amazing kind of like oh shit gadgets if you're being chased. You throw one down, turn around, watch your opponent take 120, and then you kill him. Or at least you try to kill him, you know. If it's a heavy, who knows how that ends. But you can use them as kind of like bootleg frags if you're above. If you're like above a jump head or roof, or you're dematted like the roof above or something like that, you can just throw them down to the battlefield, be it like a cash out or around where a fight is happening at, and you almost guarantee that someone's going to step on it because, well, they didn't see it land because they're busy fighting or doing anything else, right? Pretty effective. Next we have frags. Now frags are pretty simple. They do 140 damage total, and they are, well, explosive. My favorite thing to do with frags is combine them with my mines. Mines have an arming time for a few seconds once they land, and frags have a few seconds before they can detonate. So in some instances, if you are expecting an enemy to be coming a certain way, you can, you know, throw a mine down, or if you already have one set up, and kind of just predict where a player might come, and then you just throw the frag. And now, you know, assuming you guess right, you effectively now have 260 damage you just threw out there in an instant. Obviously though, that's an ideal scenario, but the thought process is there. I often find myself using them in conjunction with being chased, well, while being chased. I run around the corner, inside a house, something like that, throw a mine down straight down, maybe go up the stairs or whatever, throw lob a frag down, so like, you know, underthrow it, not like full throw, and then moments after my enemy walks in, boom, dead. Nice, simple, efficient. Plus, obviously, you can use frags as well. Frags, you know, as they're intended to be used, and just throw them into rooms to separate people, get some easy chip damage in, whatever. It's a great gadget for sure, and for how I play, it's marvelous. Lastly, we have my reserve gadgets, Defib and glitch traps. Starting with Defib, honestly, due to like all the nerfs we've received over the time, over the years, my God, over the seasons. And don't get me wrong, I never really had Defib as like my main loadout anyway. Like it was, I always kind of just was using mines and frags, but depending on what we was doing, I would be using Defib more. But either way, it fell out of my main loadout because it just no longer felt like what necessary, right? It didn't feel needed anymore. For those who don't know, Defib used to be a lot better than it is now, and well, some would argue it was borderline broken or unfair. Nowadays, however, it's a lot more tolerable and not nearly as annoying to deal with. So, it's a reserve because it is still a valuable gadget. And specifically in the final round, I will slot it in if I'm fighting against double medium or triple medium. If it's double medium or triple medium and your team is like, you know, you're the only medium, it's not exactly fun to fight double medium or triple medium and they all have defib and your team doesn't have a defib because that effectively means they have 6 lives. One medium isn't that bad, but 2 or 3 could be kind of rough. That's a massive disadvantage. That being said, however, if my team is like struggling with staying alive by the final round or something like that, or if they just ask me to put it on, then I will also just put it on and I will be replacing frags. Frags is kind of like we can replace that gadget with anything else slot. Last but not least, we have glitch traps. Glitch traps are solely for lights. If I see there's a sword or a dagger light on the opposing team, sometimes if it's the DB, I'm probably gonna put glitch traps on. And then if we're playing as a team, basically my team and I were kind of like we were playing around the glitches. We were playing around locations where they can't get in unless they get glitched, sort of thing. We basically play more defensive in those kind of scenarios. And if I'm playing solo with blueberries, I still kind of play around the glitch trap, but I place my second one like wherever my teammates are, kind of like in their proximity. So at least that way they can have some kind of protection if they get caught out or something like that, right? That's kind of like the thought process there. Glitch traps is also, however, a final round gadget. You won't basically never see me use it anywhere else. And that's basically it for the video. I'm not sure how long this one is. This one might be shorter than the light one. Not sure. But honestly though, medium has a lot of good weapons and literally almost all the gadgets are also really good. You can make an argument that Data Reshape was probably the worst one. But I don't know, man. I think it's pretty fun, but yeah. But yeah. This is kind of like my favorite thing, my favorite stuff to do. TLDR will be my favorite loadout to use is literally model, jump pad, mines, frags on either turret or DMAT. Doesn't matter which one. Turret for funsies, DMAT because, you know, turret's not great. Without further ado, I bid you all adieu. Take care and peace. Bye bye.